Hello, and welcome back to another one of Mr. Bursten's supplemental help videos. Today's video is going to be a longer one. It is about variables. Now, I'm going to cover the course of 2 lessons within this video, okay? So, I normally spend 2 days in class on variables. I'm going to cover everything kind of shortened up here. Remember, you can always look back at the presentation notes that I left behind. Take a look in Canvas for those. But if you're looking for some live code, something that I've typed out, something that is running right in front of you that you can see working, then this is the spot for you. So, up to now, we have been dealing with print statements, we've done a little bit of commenting, but now it is really time to start diving into what Python can really do. What I mean by that is everything that we've done has been we've written everything out exactly the way we want to see it, but there are times where we are going to want to use variables, which have a varying amount of information in them, or it can vary in what information that they have. Let me give you an example. I can say that x is equal to 10. Now, on its own, this isn't going to do anything. We can see over here that nothing really happened. But if I print x, let's take a look at this now. Boom, I get the number 10 back out. And this makes sense, right? In the past, we've been able to print 10. We can see that that works. Now I'm just printing x, which has 10 in it. The other thing that we can do with variables like this is I can add other numbers to it. So I can say x plus 10, and our expected outcome is 20. So I can have a variable. I can put a number in it as of right now. That's what we've seen so far. And I can manipulate that variable. Another big core concept that we're going over is that variables can change on the fly. Instead of x equals 10, I'm going to now say x equals 5, and I'm going to print x. Now what we'll see when I save and run this is that instead of printing out 10, we're going to see that it prints out 5. Remember, look at what line we're on. Line 1, line 2, line 3. The instructions are clear to Python. At the first line, I said, okay, Python, I want you to set x equal to 10. And then immediately the next instruction on line 2 is, okay, Python, whatever was an x before, I don't care about it. I want you to set x equal to 5. It says Python. Python says, okay, then it's 5. And then I tell it, I want you to print out x. We can see that this is happening because if I have 2 print statements here, one right after line number 1, one right after line number 2, we can see that yes, x did change. And obviously, if we get rid of that other print statement, we'll see that we only get 10. We did tell Python that x is now 5, but we didn't do anything with x. All right, let's take a look at what else we can do. I could also say x equals 20. I could then say y equals 15, and I can print out x plus y, which of course would give us 35. But let's just take a look and see. There we go, 35 right down here. So variables can also be added together. So that's something else that we can do with variables. After that, other things that we can do with variables, let's say that I want to call a variable name. I'm going to set that equal to Mr. Bursten. And then I can print out hello and then name. Boom. I save and run this. I get hello, Mr. Bursten. And now I can go back and instead of changing this print statement, say that I had this so many times, right? For whatever reason, I just really want to say hello to this person, right? Say hello, Mr. Bursten, 11 different times. Instead of having to go through and change all of these from Mr. Bursten to something else, I can do it all at once with what I've stored in the variable. And I could instead say Mark, for instance, and it will now say hello, Mark. So that is one way that variables can be useful for us. We can save information that we know we're going to use over and over and over again. Now, from there, we have other things that we can do with variables as well. And the biggest other thing that I can go over here now is if I say x equals 10, and then I say x equals x plus 10, and I print out x, we can expect that x will now contain the value of 20, and here is why. On the first line, I tell Python x is equal to 10. So We have 10 stored in X. Now on the next line, I am telling Python, okay, whatever is in X, I want you to throw it out, but not before you take a look at the contents of X as they are right now. So Python says, okay, whatever this equation here, I'm going to run this equation first. And it says, okay, well, X currently has 10 in it. I'm going to add 10 and 10 together, which is 20. And then I'm going to override that previous 10 with the value of 20. And we will see that when we run this, we do get the value of 20. So variables can have things added on to themselves, and this works with every mathematical operation. I could also do x equals x minus 10, and that would also work. That's just saying, okay, take the value that's currently in x, subtract 10 from it, and put it back into x. So variables can be overridden on top of themselves. They can have operations done to themselves. All right, that is our basic variable. Now, the only other thing I'm going to go over in this video is lists, okay? So, lists are a very, very unique kind of variable within Python, and you're going to see why here in a moment. So, to start a list up, we do need two brackets just like this. And let's take a look at what I can do with this. I can say hello, I'm going to put a comma, I'm going to say world, put a comma, I'm going to say 5, I'm going to say 10. Boom. Very, very unique, right? And let's take a look at what happens when we print this back out. We're going to print out my list. And when we save and run this, we see that we get the exact same thing back out. Now, it's it's worded a little bit differently. Like Python didn't use two quotes, it used one quote, and it put a space between each item, but it's the same exact content, right? Still says hello, still says world, still has the number 5, still has the number 10. Here's the big thing that I'm going to stress to you regarding lists. Lists can contain different types of data. They can contain multiple different data. So aside from containing multiple data types, they contain multiple pieces of information. Right now, I have 4 pieces of information. I could have 200 pieces of information within here, and Python will handle it, okay? Now, let's say that I wanted to print out the statement, hello world. How would I go about doing that? Well, I can also retrieve individual pieces of information by using a special index, all right? So, the big thing that I want you to remember here, and this is true of any programming language, is when we are talking about the index of different items, okay? All coding languages, Python included, start counting at 0, okay? So hello is in index spot number 0. So if I print out my list, bracket 0 bracket, I save and run, I see that I just get the word hello. So to print out hello world, I would say my list 0. I'm going to put a string that contains a single space in, and I'm going to say my list 1. Okay, because it is in the number 1 index position. Yes, it's the second piece of information, but we say we start with 0 and then 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. Okay, so there we have it. I have hello world with a nice space in there. Let's see what happens if I don't have that space real quick. So if I save and run this, we can see that there just is no space. And so it does not look like 2 separate words. All right. That will just about do it for this supplemental video. If you have any questions, please, please, please refer back to the presentation in Canvas. Always, you can email me. You can always talk to me during class. But that about does it for today. I hope you're having a good day today.